Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about a form called the 22AD. Find out why it's important if you are a buyer in today's market.
Better be using it.
Josh Hall here with Jeff Knapp. We're going to dive into this 22AD form, stands for additional down payment. Jeff, we're seeing this form a lot. I'm seeing it on our offers on our listings.
Yeah.
You're including it on offers with our buyers.
Yeah.
Give us just a quick summary of kind of how you're using this form with our buyers and kind of a little bit of what this form does.
Yeah, so not everybody can use a 22AD, so it depends on the conversations when we do a consultation with the buyer and get them pre-approved with a lender. We want to evaluate what they can and cannot do. So some people might not have the financial bandwidth to use a 22AD, but I tell all of our buyers it's very important that if you can use it in any capacity that you include it. As Josh said, the AD is an additional down payment. So in a scenario where a house is listed for $600,000 and you're a 10% down buyer, your down payment is $60,000. You also have your loan costs on top of that. And then if you have extra cash that's sitting around that you can use to essentially pre-negotiate a low appraisal and promise the seller that you will agree to pay 10, 20 grand beyond the appraised value of the home, you're essentially pre-negotiating that issue that could possibly come
in the event that the appraisal comes in low, because this form only comes into play if this $600,000 home doesn't appraise for $600,000, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Because we're in a market right now where prices are rising rapidly, right? And an appraiser, right, when they're doing their appraisal, they have to use sold data, right? So they may be looking at data that's 30, 60, 90 days old, right? But in a market where prices are rapidly appreciating, that the prices could be up significantly since those last.
Absolutely. And you can't, there's no way to predict how high another buyer is willing and able to go. But in this market, from what we're seeing on our listing side, people are still writing offers that are going well beyond the list price of the home. So sellers, of course, have to take that into consideration too. Is that number on page 1 of the purchase and sale a pie in the sky number? How realistic is that to reach for the seller? What the buyer's doing is they're basically putting a little bit more skin in the game, saying, okay, like we'll give you $20,000 extra on top of the appraised value of the home to make this deal stick.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you've waived the appraisal. The appraisal still comes in below that $20,000 threshold. You still have the opportunity to renegotiate, work with the seller to try to find some middle ground.
Or to walk.
Or to walk. Yeah, you can get out and get your earnest money back if you still have protections inside the offer itself. But yeah, it is important, and I tell people that we represent all the time. Even if it's $2,000, $3,000 on a 22AD, whatever you can do, if you can do it and that tool's on your belt, you should be using it in this market where it's extremely competitive to buy a home.
Yeah, and the way that I really explain this to our sellers is it's an insurance policy, right? Like we don't know what the appraisal is going to come in at, right? But we can say, okay, there's this offer, right, with $20,000 on a 22AD. So as long as it appraises within $20,000 of our sales price, seller's made whole, right? It's great, right? Let's just say it appraises, $30,000 low. We have a $20,000 22AD. Now we have a $10,000 gap, right? So the seller has the option at that point of saying, yes, I will lower the sales price. I'll take $10,000 less, right? Because you're still getting $20,000 over what it appraised for. So as long as the appraisal come in somewhat close, right? Because of how homes are getting bid up so much in this current market, that still may be a great number. So we've had a few situations where the seller has got a low appraisal, buyer's got a low appraisal. We've looked at the numbers and said, okay, appraised value plus whatever's on the 22AD. Hey, are you happy with that? And if they are, great. We move towards closing and everybody's happy. Sellers still getting way more than what their original asking price. Buyers happy because they're getting the house, and off to the finish line we go. So absolutely, a super important tool to be competitive in today's market is this 22AD form. I know it's kind of an abstract idea that's really kind of come about here the last couple of years with this market we've been in. But let us know if you're thinking about buying a house. We can sit down and talk to you about how to use this tool to help you succeed in today's market. So I hope you're doing well. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah. Bye, guys.